Welcome to Diablos in Podcastica with Toomey and Wadzilla.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Diablos in Podcastica. As always, I am Joshua Toomey, joined by...
Oh yeah! Wadzilla, baby! What's up?
Is that a plastic cup again?
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, man. I've been laying back on the beers. And I got my vodka tonight, but we can't go super long on this because I only had enough booze for one drink. So I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. Until next week.
All right. Well, for Diablos. Now, are you trying to be like Lemmy? I know later in Lemmy's life, he switched from hard liquor to vodka because he thought it was healthier. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes and no. Kind of, like I said during this, downtime our country's been. I've been exercising more. I've been trying to drink less beer, and I haven't been drinking as much in general. I mean, really, I've been drunk now 4 times since February, and usually only drink when we do the show. Just sometimes I get into a phase where I don't drink every day. When I do, though, I do it right. But we record on Thursdays now, which, is, recording this show is different than my old show. I used to record on weekends, so I could get, totally shit-faced. And, we record. I still got to fucking get up and go to work the next day. Believe it or not, I don't make enough money off this show. I have to have a day job, so.
Not yet.
Yeah,
it is funny you talk about drinking. In my younger days, we would drink every night, and every morning you would wake up and you would just feel like shit. Roll out of bed and go to work, and you're like, God, I'm never going to drink again. And then up around 3 o'clock, you're like, all right, where are we going tonight? What bar are we hitting up tonight? And now it's like, man, if I drink too much, I just end up feeling like shit for like a week. I'm just like, I'm over it. The wife, she actually drinks like 1 or 2 beers a night, after work comes. She's like, she can drink like that to where if I have one, I have to have all of them.
Oh, so I'm the same way. I'm a binge drinker, and I remember in junior high, I could get all fucked up, and still make it the next day. But, in all fairness though, I didn't get out of junior high till I was like 20. But, now the hangovers are much worse.
While in junior high school, did you see Rock and Run Runyon anywhere in the bushes?
No. There's still a restraining order, But I do have some very sad Rock and Run Runyon news, but we'll get into that later. But for the most part, I just been kicking back, relaxing a little bit. I think what I'm really doing is saving up for next year's Rockin' Pod. That's when I'm just going to get really shit faced and talk to all the stars and the listeners, and give them the full Wadzilla experience.
I'll show you how it's done. Every year, everyone's Rockin' Pod recap is never like, I hung out with Toomey at noon and we had lunch. It's always like, there was Toomey, 3 o'clock in the morning, hanging off of the chandelier, fucking, stage diving into the fucking pool. And I'm like, I never did that.
I know, it's always like, I thought Ian was going to be the worst, but then I met Josh Toomey.
And that comes all the way back around to, I can't just have one, I have to have all of them.
Oh yeah, I'm a binge drinker. I have like a 3 drink fuck it rule. And not that I'm drunk after 3 drinks, but after 3 drinks I just say fuck it. It's like tomorrow's problem. I'm having fun. It's another reason a lot of times I have a tendency not to keep beer in my house. I go get beer on the weekends, because if it's in my fridge, I'm going to drink this shit, and I'm going to have a damn good time. But, trying a little bit older and, none the wiser, but just older.
I actually found from Rockin' Pod 1, I was going through some files on my computer, and I found some of the interviews that I did after I stopped allowing them to be released. So I think, honestly, there's some stuff on there, I think with me and you, from later in the day, and I need to find that. Hopefully I can find a little bit of that And if I can find enough of it, I'll give a clip of it. But it's like me and you and like Mark Striegel's wife shows up for some reason at one point. And yeah, it's a mess, man.
Oh, yeah, she was partying. She was partying with me, you know. And then Striegel fucked it all up. But I guess we're friends now. He sent me a friend request, so I guess me and Striegel are okay now.
Yeah, you and Striegel are bros now.
Yeah.
Any deaths in the family? Any cats getting put down? Any car accidents? COVID-19? Anything going on in the last few days that we need to get out there?
No, man. It's been a good week. I finally got my couch this week, so I'm so excited. But I can't enjoy the motherfucker tonight because I'm in here recording. But I wouldn't trade this for the world. But I'm super. I got my, my whole man shack, my Casa de la Wad is really coming along now. I've been like remodeling since February. In my living room, I got a new couch, new TV, new stereo, all this shit, new paint, all this stuff. And my next project is going to be my office.
Get a girlfriend.
No, because once you get that, you can't afford to do all the shit that I'm doing right now.
Once you get the girlfriend, she comes over, she actually changes all that. She's like, get this paint down. We need a new couch. This TV sucks. No.
I have a decorator. Who is a very good female friend of mine. And she's been overseeing everything. And like, I tell her what I want and she knows like my taste and she knows I'm wild, but she's like, okay, no. And then she'll be like, yeah, or this goes here and that goes there. And, it doesn't stifle me, but it's nice to have somebody's, like a woman's input. Like, no.
So you're not just driving down the road and you're like, ooh, a couch, and.
Oh, yeah.
And then driving down another road and you're like, oh, wow, a wire spool that's missing all the wires. So there's a table. So here we go. We got some milk crates for end tables. It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, I show her like, I'm looking at this. And she's like, no. And I trust her. And it's great because we're just, we're friends. So it's like, she's not going to hold back because we're romantic or anything like that, and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, She's like, no, motherfucker, that's ugly, You can't leave duct tape there. That's going to scare women off, I'm like, okay, good point.
This is the start to every romantic comedy, by the
way. Yeah. No, not gonna. No, we're good friends. I'd never fuck it up, and she's the only decorator I can afford because she's free. But but no, the place is coming along. But I can't wait for my office because I'm gonna have a desk in there, and that'll be where I record from now on. And it'll be nice because all these years I've been recording in my bedroom, like just laying on my bed recording and. It's nice to get out of the bedroom. Like now,
I like I hope the listeners are getting a very nice visual.
Oh yeah, because I'm butt ass naked, laying on my bed, recording, and all those classic episodes, of any show that I've done or radio show, butt naked. I'm a fucking nudist, man. When I get home, that's it, and that's for anybody trying to lose weight, just picture that, But no, I want to do my office. I want to do it like the Red Room in Twin Peaks. I'm a big Twin Peaks fan. So like, wall's going to be red, getting like some red curtains. And I even wanted to get the floor, like the design that's on the floor, the really cool, black and white. It's called a chevron pattern, but I only found like one place that had it, and it's in England. And it was like, be like fucking $600. I'm like, nah, I live in an apartment. Which I'll probably never leave. I'm too old to buy a fucking house and too poor. But, and I live in a great neighborhood. My friends own the building. So I got a great rent control setup. So I don't mind putting money into this place, but yeah, I'm not paying $600 for a fucking floor.
Go ahead.
I just spent $300 on one for the living room.
So did your, decorator make you frame all of your posters?
No, actually we haven't got to putting shit on the walls yet. I have a bunch of stuff and she's going to go through it and decide like, okay, this is, cause I have a lot of cool shit that I've never hung just cause I just held on to it and kept it nice. Cause I want to do like certain things you want a nice frame for and certain things You know, she's like, oh, well, a Walmart frame will look fine with that, you know, and this you want something nice for. And, so that's the only thing I have left in the living room. And then that's completely done. That's got a new floor, new couch, new TV, new stereo, new, 4K Blu-ray player, all that shit. I just need to put shit on the walls. And, yeah, it's nice. But yeah, I can afford all this shit because I'm single. Well, once you got to start taking somebody out to dinner and shit, you know. Although that would be the good thing about picking up a chick now, because you can't really take them out to dinner all that much. At least not around here, you know. Oh, it's like, oh, babe, I want to treat you like you deserve, you know. So
I would take you out dancing. We would go get a steak dinner. But just come over and Netflix and chill, or Mr. X can give us some movies to watch.
Yeah, and the minute this shit goes away, I just be like, oh, honey, you know, I got the Wang Chung lung. I wish I could, you know, I wanna, you know. But but no, I get to buy shit I want now. It's nice.
Nice. Well, here are some people that maybe one day will buy us some things.
Ooh.
When they buy T-shirts and all of the other goods from us. But these are our henchmen. And you know what this made me think of when you talked about getting a woman? We need some hench women. Because we got some henchmen, but we need some hench women.
Yeah.
And maybe with the thought of you naked sprawled out on a bed, they'll come running once they hear that.
No, I think the only person who got excited about that was Andrew Jacobs. Sorry.
Oh, good Lord. All right, our henchmen this week are Jay Sabluski, Rock and Ron Runyon, Adam Cox, Mark Alden Taylor, and the Freeform Rock Podcast, James West, Chris Senzak, Kenneth Waugh, Joseph Staub, Chuck Lobson, Devin Dungan, Bill Elam, Anthony Bonet, Christopher Ellefson, Keith Rockford, Bob Reed, Joseph Sawsville, Daniel Lee, and Samuel Wetz.
Nice. I got a really nice message from Kenneth Waugh. And he said he loved the episode, and he's like, thank you for not saying the really bad shit that I said about Toomey. And, you asked me if I had any, bad stuff happen this weekend, and I didn't, but unfortunately he did. His girl lost her grandmother who raised her, so he had a rough week, and he said the show was a real bright spot and cheered him up and made him laugh, so that makes me feel good if we can make anybody laugh. And I got some really good feedback from these last two episodes, people really enjoying them and saying, like, especially with all the shit that's going on, in the world right now, that they enjoy having a show like this to laugh about, so makes me feel good. And I appreciate it.
Makes me feel
all you
good
henchmen.
Too.
And you future hench
we need
women.
some hench ladies.
Yeah.
All right, man. You want to read this amazing iTunes review that we got?
Oh, yeah. Well, we got two of them.
We do have two of them.
Yeah. I'll take the first one. And this comes from a guy who didn't have too good of a week this week. And that's Rock and Ron Runyon. And... Rock and Ron is a super nice guy. I always joke about Ron, but Ron is a stand-up guy. I can't wait to see him again at the next Rockin' Pod, because it's always a highlight. And that's because I set my standards real low, for Rockin' Pod. But, you're seeing all this shit lately, all this shit with the cops and people, and the racial shit and everything. But you don't see a lot of, there's white people who get attacked by the cops too, believe it or not. And Rock and Ron is one of them. Rock and Ron got tased last week by the police. And he was at a park sniffing a teeter-totter. And apparently, he says he was just reaching for his pants to pull him up. But they thought he was reaching for a gun and tased his ass. But, you don't see, Rock and Ron Runyon's pasty white face all over the news. But, the cops, man, they don't discriminate. Well, I guess they do. But they get those honkies, too. But poor Ron, I hope he heals from that. Because he left us an amazing 5-star review entitled The Farley and Spade of Podcasting. And that's pretty fucked up there, because that shows you, not only is he a pedophile, but he's racist too. He's fat shaming you, calling you Farley, and he's calling me Spade because I'm Black Irish. Or maybe I read into that wrong. I don't know. But he says,
I think I'm the David Spade of this group, buddy.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just a fat guy in a little coat then. He says, and I quote, "Toomey and Wadzilla are the Farley and Spade of podcasting, with a large dose of alcoholism and love for the devil's music. A great podcast to listen to after a long night of standing outside the window of teenage girls' slumber parties, and before hiding in the ball pit at a Chunky Cheese birthday party." Yeah, we can smell our own, can't we, Ron? Boy, that's a great one, and again, Rockin' Ron, great guy. If you love our show,
great sport.
Of course, you would love Decibel Geek, and he does so much shit for their website. He just did an episode of their show too. Check it out, boy. I want to hear what went on the cutting room floor. I heard some shit behind the scenes. I want to hear that shit unedited. But anyway, he goes to so many concerts all over the place and records them and puts them up on their page. Man, he's a real stand-up guy. Doesn't do that shit for us, but, hey, at least he left us a review. Fucking A, Ron, I hope the taser wounds heal up. Appreciate you.
Yeah, he needs to start, he could be the Diablos in Podcastica TV guy. Come on, Ron.
Yeah, we want to know what happens at a fucking Tough concert too, goddammit. You could interview all 5 people there.
I will send Rockin' Ron Runyon to a few Taproot shows if he wants me to.
There you go. I heard he's a big Trap fan. We'll send him there.
And we do have another 5-star iTunes Apple Podcast review from J.D. Sawsville. More fun than a double glory hole. These two guys keep the laughs coming, C-U-M-M-I-N-G, smart, insightful reviews, and booze-filled mayhem.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Everybody always talks about all of us drink. I have never drank on this podcast, but yet it's still booze-filled, because of a certain somebody on the show.
Yeah, a lot of times I drink enough for the both of us, but, trust me, how long have you been doing this show with me? You'll start drinking soon, and early, real early.
Yeah, next week I'll be the one tinking on a glass, like, tink, tink, tink.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But I want to thank both these guys for these awesome reviews. And, Josh, you said to me before we started, hey, should we just read one so we got something for next week? I said, fuck that shit, because I believe in these motherfuckers. They're going to leave some more reviews. We'll have more next week. So don't make me look like a putz, okay? I want to see another review up so we can read it, Come on, henchmen and henchwomen, some wenches, whatever the fuck you are. If you're single, call me, But, we'll have more reviews, and we appreciate all these. It really does help the show, because it makes us look like we know what we're doing, and it helps us get interviews and shit like that, too. Well, that really, Toomey does that, but, everything helps. So keep them coming.
Keep them coming, and if you want to become a henchman or a hench lady, make sure to head over to the Facebook page, share from the Facebook page, and let your friends, family, your nemesis, everyone know that you are listening to Diablos and Podcastica, and let them know that they should too.
Hell yeah. You know what time it is now, though.
It's the news.
The news. And before we get into the rock news, this is a little bit more, I shouldn't say worldly, but countryly. Is that a fucking word?
Okay.
But it pertains to us here in the U.S. of A. There's a very big thing with the Supreme Court. It's very good news for my gays and my leses out there, protecting their rights. But unfortunately, that shit protected a lot of other people's rights too, not just the Elemental P community. Apparently now you can't fire somebody just for being a Sammy Hagar fan. But the good news is they still won't let them adopt, because, you don't want to fuck with the children. We want this, generation to just die out, then there'll be no more of this shit. I won't have to rant about Sammy Hagar and his fans anymore because all 5 of them will be dead. You know. But hey, big ups to my gays and les. You got equal rights. Can't believe we even have to talk about that. You know, like that's not a given, but congratulations. And fuck you Hagar fans. You don't deserve no rights.
All right, so Ice-T reflects on the controversial body count song Cop Killer. I was a little more radical back then. And in the interview with the Washington Post, he was asked if folks will understand Cop Killer now more than they did at the time of the original track's release. Ice-T said it was a song about somebody who during a moment like this got so mad that they went after the cops. We don't want that guy, but a lot of times you warn people by saying this can happen. I never killed no cop. I've written better songs that are more on point with what I believe today. I was a little more radical back then, and the song No Lives Matter addresses my feelings at this moment. You got to remember, 30 years ago, Ice is different than 62-year-old Ice. So, you know, my thing with Ice, with Cop Killer, is I remember when it came out, it was this huge controversy, but I never heard it. And then when I finally heard it, I was like, man, this song is not good. I was not a fan of Body Count back in the day. Last 3 albums, amazing. Old Body Count, no thank you.
Oh, I love the first Body Count album. It's still my favorite. And I remember very vividly going to get that because I was already an Ice-T fan. Ice-T is, I still say OG, Original Gangsta. My favorite rap album of all time, the one I can listen to as an album. So I was a first day buyer. I remember me and my buddy Matt going to the mall to get that shit. And of course, we already heard about Cop Killer. And fuck yeah, that's the first one I want to hear. We get in my car, I throw that in the fucking Alpine, crank it up, drive through the parking lot, I'd be like, yeah, Cop Killer. And then what do I see? A cop. I was like, oh fuck, turn that shit down. I totally bitched out, man. I was like, oh fuck yeah, I ain't getting pulled over. I used to get harassed by the cops a lot. I got pulled over between the ages of 16 and 22. I got pulled over 60 times. And I got 2 tickets out of those 60. But they would just pull you over, man. Well, I grew up in the burbs. So they didn't have like a lot of shit to do. So they just, they see a teenager, especially a long hair, and some of the times I didn't even have long hair, but they saw a kid driving, they would fuck with you hard.
Right.
And, I'm glad he could admit, hey, he's not trying to pretend like all hard. He's like, hey, that's how I was at the time and what I felt. And, of course now he's in his fucking 60s for Christ's sake. I mean, he's still a bad motherfucker, but, I like him being honest in that interview. I thought that was pretty cool. All right. New Lamb of God drummer Art Cruz says he did his best just to be himself on the new album, the new self-titled Lamb of God album. Have you heard it yet?
Yeah, I've heard it.
I heard the one song, the single. I got the album from Mr. X, but I haven't checked it out yet. And, I don't know, sound like Lamb of God to me. I'm not a huge Lamb of God fan. Don't dislike him. But I haven't heard anything that's grabbed me enough yet to say, yeah, let me check out the album. I'm kind of like that with Mastodon too. I know a lot of people love Mastodon, and I've actually listened to more Mastodon, and it's one of those things where, don't hate it. It's cool. It's metal. Just hasn't grabbed me. Are you a big Lamb of God fan?
I'm a big fan of like Ashes of the Wake and Sacrament and Wrath, like albums, 10, 15 years ago. The last few albums have not been amazing to me. I enjoy Lamb of God, seen them live many times and over the years, but I mean, when they first kind of started coming along, I mean, you got to think when Ashes of the Wake came out in 2004, the musical landscape at the time was not that heavy. And so when they kind of came through, it's like, oh yeah, we can be heavy again.
Yeah.
So
my son's a big Lamb of God fan. He really digs them.
Maybe I should do a podcast with your son.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You guys can talk about, them and
Load and Reload.
Yeah, Load and Alien Ant Farm, whatever the fuck you kids are into. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, what you got?
All right, well, this is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago with the passing of Bob Kulick, and you were kind of, you were sympathetic to the fact that hopefully that Bruce and Bob had kind of maybe reconciled before Bob's death. And Bruce comes out and says, "We both respected and loved each other very much." Let's see, took to his Instagram. My brother Bob's recent death was a shock to me as well as the entire music world. Words cannot express the emotions I felt with the sudden news. Even though we had some issues in the recent past, we both respected and loved each other very much. Some of his contacts just recently shared with me how he spoke well of me, and if anything happened to him, that his brother would handle his affairs. So, I guess they didn't, talk to each other and reconcile their differences, but it looks like, through friends that they said, hey, Bob was talking nice about you, even though maybe he didn't to your face.
Yeah, and they still haven't said what he passed from, and I'm hoping it's not suicide. A lot of times when they're pretty vague about it or won't say, and there was an interview with, oh God, I can't stand his ass, Graham Bonnet, and he was saying the last time he talked to him, like something didn't seem right. He just seemed really, well, he admitted that they had kind of a weird relationship to begin with. But he said he didn't sound like he was in a good place. So, I hope that's not the case. I mean, fuck, dead is dead. But, I hate to see anybody kill themselves. Unless it's Sammy Hagar. I hope you're listening. Do it. Do me a fucking favor. Come on. So, yeah, it's a sad story. It's a sad story. Especially for anybody wanting a good Kiss record again. Now who's going to play guitar? But something I'm excited about is the new Exodus album, and Exodus is going to be hitting the recording studio in September, and very excited about that, man. Seems like the whole band is fired up and ready to go, and fuck yeah, it's been a while since Blood In, Blood Out. So, man, no excuses. This better be a stellar fucking album. I liked Blood In, Blood Out. Wasn't my favorite, but Exodus, but I really dug it. I'll take any Exodus right now. But I'm really
it should be good.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, and especially after meeting Gibson, man, at Rockin' Pod, the last one, man. Such a cool dude, man. One of my favorite interviews I did there. Really nice guy. It turns out I heard, I don't know if we can talk about this, but let's just say I heard he had a real good time at Rockin' Pod. Better than I did.
Multiple times. Yeah.
Oh, multiple times. That motherfucker. Now, I know I'm going to ask him if he's back again. hey, let me smell that finger. But, that's the thing. Post-fucking COVID, everybody washes their hands now. I probably won't smell anything. God damn it.
You'll just smell hand sanitizer. Like,
yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, ooh, she smells clean.
All right, from the... Last week, you talked about hearing two songs that you hated, and it was the new Tommy Lee stuff. So one of my favorite all-time bands released two songs this week, and my God, if Machine Head cannot just stop what they're doing and just stop being like, I think someone called them snowflake metal on Blabbermouth, which is I think is a classic way to talk about Machine Head. Machine Head put out some of my favorite records of all time, and for the longest time, if you asked me what kind of band I would want to be in, it would be Machine Head. Like it was just they almost like the perfect songs, even through like the early 2000s with all the really cool the Blackening and all that stuff, all the way back to the More Things Change. I listened to The Burning Red the other day, still a great album. Burn My Eyes, classic. All that stuff, man. But yeah, and so he not only does this song, what is it, Stop the Bleeding.
Yes.
You got a 50-something-year-old white metal dude screaming, I can't breathe. Like, I don't need to know what Rob Flynn has to say about civil unrest right now. It's like, just stop it. But, he also gets, Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage, which another one of my favorite bands. 10 years ago, this collaboration would have been like, I couldn't wait. Honestly, I probably couldn't wait to hear this, but when I heard it, I couldn't wait to stop hearing it. It was so bad. I was just like, Jesus Christ, people, like, we do not need this right now.
Well, I listened to both of those today. But I couldn't stop laughing because the minute you said stop what you're doing, all I can hear in my head is all right, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the image and the style it used to. Now I got
in which they kind of did. They did ruin the image and the style that I'm used to. Like, it's fucking bullshit.
Tooey's like, just grab them in the biscuits. But no, I heard...
That's pronounced with an D.
Yeah. But yeah, I listened to him today, and yeah, Machine Head's a band I go back and forth on. Really love the old shit as well. Boy, but that last album they put out, the one that pretty much killed the band, that was, I don't even think I made it all the way through. It was so bad. And then I was like, but you know what? I'm a completist. I got everything else. I was like, Mr. X, hook me up with this single. So I listened to it. Oh my. But the first song was definitely the worst. But the second one was no prize either. What I will say, I didn't mind the songs lyrically, because I'm into that kind of shit. And, you could call it snowflake metal, whatever, I keep up on topics and shit like that. But it's just the music wasn't good, man. The music wasn't good. And the new drummer's not bad. I'd rather see, Chris Contos have his job back. He's a great drummer too. But I don't know. Just musically, it wasn't doing it for me. And I listened, I love Burning Red when it came out. To me, it hasn't aged as well. Of course, as the first two, I think Burn My Eyes is a Stone Cold classic. And I think anybody who says Burn My Eyes sucks, I really think, it's just your prejudice against Rob Flynn. Because that's just how, if you like metal and heavy metal, how can you not like Burn My Eyes? But I can totally get why somebody doesn't like Rob Flynn. But I'm saying, be honest with your evaluation. Now, if you weren't down with the Burning Red, I totally get that. The whole, the Darkaroo years. But I mean, Blackening is fucking awesome. From the Ashes was a really good one too. But I don't know. I think he's just lost the point, man. I don't know. I keep hoping for something good, but yeah, the new ones, if that's an indication of where the new album's going. And if you remember, he released a song a couple months ago that was, like a Fuck the Haters song. And that was really, really bad. Oh my God, was that bad. So things ain't looking too good. But at the same time, man, if they would have came around with that, Burn My Eyes, and it sucks because I talked to Chris a couple times on Facebook, and I was like, oh man, I'd love to see that, and he's like, oh, don't worry, man, we're coming to New Orleans. And, it never even got booked here. But I would have went and saw it. I've seen Machine Head live a couple times, man. They always put on a great show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I saw them was a couple of years ago at one of those evening with type deals, and they play 2.5, 3 hours, and even when they play those songs off of the Burning Red in the set, people go nuts for those songs. So, people talk shit about that album, but as soon as some of those tracks come on, you're like, yeah, what is it? Fucking, what's the Fire song? Fuck.
Desire to Fire or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
people go nuts for that stuff.
Oh, that's a Pit song, man. I saw him on that tour, and a couple times I think I saw him on the Burning Red tour. And killer shit. And I remember when they did that evening I wanted to go real bad, but it was a fucking school night, and I ended up not going because I didn't want to waste a vacation day. But I kind of wish I would have went. But here's a band I'm hopeful for. Because I think they're killer. I haven't heard their last couple albums, but I'm a big fan of their debut album. And they don't get talked about enough, and that's Heathen. And, funny enough, we just talked about Exodus, and Lee Atlas, was in Heathen. He's still in them now, but, he was in Heathen. That's how he got his start. And their first, I think, Breaking the Silence. Really, really good thrash album. It's different. It's kind of a more... melodic, but not like, in a sellout say, it's not radio thrash, but I don't know. There's just something different about it. I really like, and, I'm excited to hear new music. I don't know how many of the classic era guys are in the band. I don't know if it's the same lineup. I know, like I said, I know Lee Atlas is in, but he's like the most well-known guy in the band. But I'm excited for that, and that's a band. When we did what was that Bay Area thrash documentary we just talked about, Murder in the Front Row? Like that's a band I hope was going to get talked about because they were a Bay Area band, and still are, But they deserve more attention, so check out some Heathen if you haven't checked it out already.
What are your thoughts on Henry Rollins?
I'm a huge Henry Rollins fan.
All right, so Henry Rollins says that he sucks at romantic relationships. That's the headline. That's like the most no-duh headline I've ever read in my life. If you follow him at all, you know that he sucks at romantic relationships.
I don't know. Maybe I'm such a fan. I always thought it's the bitch's fault. I don't know. But yeah, if you ever listen to his albums, he's not too lucky in love. But, fuck. Yeah. Few of us are. But hey, if that's what it takes to get another Rollins album, I'm all for it, man. Go get your heart broke, man, because I love that shit. Love it.
He tells the Daily Beast that I'm super serious and not good at it. In a new interview, he says, I suck at it. Not that I'm steeped in infidelity. One relationship is more than I can handle. I fail. I'm a workaholic, and that gets worse when I get older. When an amazing woman says, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I'm working. It's not their fault. They're expecting you to be an adult man and be 50% of something, and I simply can't deliver it. For me, it's not defensible, and there's nothing I can say that makes me look good. I don't ever raise my voice and call them mean names, but I just say, you know what? I really suck at this. I thought I could do it. They're holding a handful of sand, and after 2 weeks, there's 1 grain left. And then they've lost that one, too. So poor Henry Rollins.
Yeah, no, I get it, though. Guy works a lot. He does a lot of different shit, Just because he hasn't been releasing albums, he does radio shows, all kinds of shit.
Books and photography, yeah.
Yeah, fuck, just doing a podcast, if you ever talk to a podcaster, ask them how happy their wife is about it, And I know the last relationship I was in, I tried to plan everything, like recording, when I do my radio show, I always tried to plan it when she was at work so it didn't become an issue. But I've heard that from so many people that, do this kind of stuff, because it's, what's that? Am I going on too long?
No.
But, you ask them, it's time consuming, and it takes away, women want your attention. And so I get that, but at least he's honest and didn't say, it's all their fault. So kudos to him.
All right, what you got?
All right. Mike Portnoy, who is in every band you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, we just started a band, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in one with him, too.
Whoa.
I play kazoo. But he says he spent New Year's Eve with John Mung, the bass player. And I'm sorry, all I could think about is, how shitty would it be to spend New Year's Eve with somebody who doesn't drink? Fucking Mike Portnoy with your non-drinking. But I thought that was interesting that, now it seems like he's friends again with everybody in the band except the singer. But I'd heard a lot of things that he was at odds with John as well, that it was the two of them he didn't get along with. But now it seems he's doing good with everybody but singer James LaBrie. And I don't know if you saw the story where he got caught speaking. He thought he wasn't being recorded, and he took a jab at James LaBrie, and he was talking something about, I don't know if it was Sons of Apollo or one of his 5,000 other bands, but he's like, yeah, it's really good. It sounds like Dream Theater, but without the annoying singer. And I was like, oh boy, he got a point, because Dream Theater is a band. On paper, I should love this band. Because I love those musician bands. And they're definitely a musician's band. But the two things that always hold me back is their current keyboard player, Jordan Ruin This, who's, he makes every song sound like he's at the fucking circus. And the singer gets on my nerves on certain songs. On certain songs, I think his voice works. In other songs, it's like, oh, God, is it annoying. But what do you think? Do you think the writing's on the wall for him to come back to Dream Theater? Or do you think, nah, ain't never going to happen?
I think that he'll eventually come back. I don't see why not. I mean, once ticket sales get low, then they'll be like, hey, Images and Words, 30-year anniversary with Mike Portnoy. Here we go.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a boost as far as concert sales. Who knows? It might get to that point.
He's one of the few drummers that I think have enough cachet to be a draw. You're like, oh, I'm going to go see Dream Theater because I want to go see Mike Portnoy live.
Oh, yeah. I saw him once. I saw him open up for Maiden. I thought they were good, But trying to listen to albums and like, oh my God, that concept album they put out a few years ago. Oh my God, was that bad? Oh my God.
Yeah, not a good one.
Yeah, that robot one or whatever. Holy shit. But, I'm not a big fan of that fucking Metropolis album everybody fucking loves either, I'm weird with them. Some of their shit I really dig. And other shit I'm like, I just can't get full on board with them. So, that's what I got.
All right, so my last one will be the, have you seen the footage of Doro playing a drive-in movie theater?
No, I have not seen this.
Yes, so she played her first drive-in concert in Germany Saturday, June 13th, while complying with the country's social distancing regulations. The show took place at the Car Antenna Arena in Worms. That sounds like a great place to be.
Yeah.
After the show, man, our first show at the drive-in cinema was so awesome. What was an amazing crowd. We had a blast. And if you look at the photos and the footage of it, it's people are sitting on their doors, like sitting like they're in like they're in Dukes of Hazzard, but they're sitting on the doors of the car, listening to the thing. And, there's a lot of these drive-in things popping up. I saw that Bert Kreischer is going to be close here doing stand-up at a drive-in theater, and he talked about it on one of his podcasts where it's going to be the whole deal where, you tune your radio to a certain channel and you hear the audio through the thing, and he's projected on the screen, and people are just trying to get creative and get out there and do some stuff, man. But yeah, Doro, I think, is one of the first people that I've seen actually try to attempt a concert at a drive-in theater.
Well, who sits on their fucking doors? You're going to fuck up the hinges, dumbass. Lay on the hood of the car or some shit. I don't know.
Well, I think you might have to stay in the car. So I think that's the loophole there because half of you is in the car.
I don't know. I don't think it'd work for you. Well, I don't know. I don't even want to sit in your car. Well, your wife's car. But, I don't know. I saw another post that, is it Schmier? Or one of the dudes from Destruction, the great German thrash band, said he would never do that. Because he says it's not metal or it's not cool. It's cheapening, the experience. I don't know. I guess it comes down to how bad you want to see it, But do you get the feeling, when you, I don't know. There's just something I love about, being down in the pit and being down. I mean, I'm already pissed off that you don't see the fucking drug use and the smoking that you used to see, man. I mean, the concert should be everything bad going on. You know what I mean? It should be a dirty fucking experience with too much smoke, too many drugs, too drunk people, You're just sitting in your car. I don't know. Like, maybe I just go home, watch the shit on YouTube. I don't know. But I got two stories to finish out that play into this.
Okay.
One is, did you see the big post today about Live Nation?
I did, yeah. That's terrible.
And it seemed like a lot of reading and not enough pictures in the story. So I didn't read everything, but basically I got the gist of the story that Live Nation is going to start paying bands less. And just to try to make up for what Live Nation lost. And it's despicable because the band's already suffering enough. Now when they do get to go back out there, Live Nation's going to pay them less. It also said that Live Nation is the one who sets all the ticket prices. So don't necessarily get mad at your favorite band if you feel they're charging too much. That could be all Live Nation's doing.
Yeah.
And I just think, man, it's really kicking the bands when they're down. And what sucks is Live Nation is something that we shouldn't need anyway. Talk about something that should be cut out, like a middleman you don't need. I think, a band should have a manager that deals with the venue, and cut out this fucking Live Nation. I mean, I know there's a lot behind the scenes that they do. But, they're taking much too much money. They're jacking up the ticket prices. And now not only are they fucking the fans, but they're fucking the bands. And, a lot of, especially like the metal acts that we like, they're not making all that much money to begin with. I mean, a lot of times people have this illusion just because you're in a band, you're rich and you're living the good life. And 9 times out of 10, it couldn't be farther from the truth. Not every band has Metallica money. There's a lot of bands that barely scrape by, and a lot of bands that, work regular jobs when they're not on tour. And you see people doing, I saw Jason Bittner from Shadows Fall and now in Overkill, doing drum lessons online just to drum up some fucking money. So, a lot of these people don't have insurance. If they get sick, they're fucked, all kinds of shit, man. It's just fuck Live Nation, man. Pearl Jam was right, fuck Ticketmaster, fuck Live Nation, fuck all these people, man. They need to figure out a way. It's got to get back to that, that punk, DIY theory, man. Do it yourself, and that way everybody comes out ahead. Fans don't come out with as much money. Bands get bigger profits. That's the way to do it. But don't ask me how, because I don't know. I can't balance a fucking checkbook, but there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, it's so messed up, man. Like, you look at old ticket stubs of, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, even into the 90s, where we were going to see Pantera for $20, at the big venue. Now those tickets would be $115 plus service fees and all this other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, the one thing that I do get about Live Nation is obviously when you deal with Live Nation, they already have things in place at every giant arena in the States. So you say, hey, Live Nation, we want 30 dates. Live Nation puts it together, gives you a price, and you get paid a flat fee, and you're like, hey, here you go, kind of thing. To where if you got rid of a Live Nation, you would go back to, okay, we have to deal with the independent promoter in Nashville, then we got to deal with the independent promoter in New Orleans, then we got to deal with the independent promoter in Houston. And I'm sure that Live Nation took away a lot of that headache, but it passed on the buck to any fans that go to the shows. Yeah,
fuck it. That's Peter Grant's problem. You probably don't even know who Peter Grant is. But, do you? That's Led Zeppelin?
Was he like Led Zeppelin guy? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right. All right. Yeah, I figured I was going too old school for you, but...
No, he did the cool, he did the nice, 90-10 split. And he was like, you get 10%, Led Zeppelin gets 90%, because 10% of a Led Zeppelin gate is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think that was his doing, wasn't it?
Fucking A, man. And that motherfucker, he'd whoop some ass if anybody fucked with the band. He was a badass motherfucker. But, he pretty much only managed them in bad company. And he's like, hey, if you book
till the day he died.
Yeah, if you book Zeppelin, I'll throw in Bad Company for free. But yeah, it sucks, man. And I want to see the bands make money. I want to see the fans afford to go. Yeah, I remember paying $28 to see the Stones in '89, and that was like, what the fuck is $28? Holy shit! But the band that ruined everything was the fucking Eagles. They're greedy ass.
Yeah.
They were the first ones when they did that Hell Freezes Over tour. Maybe you young kids don't remember. But I remember those tickets were $60, and that was unheard of. Unheard of in 1994. But that tour sold out every fucking show. And there was no turning back. There was no turning back after that. Once they, it's like a drug dealer. Once they know you'll pay a certain price, the shit ain't going to get cheaper.
Right.
They know they got you. And then you see shit like this horrible fucking stadium tour that got postponed. And this is my last story, and it also plays into the album we're talking about this week. But they announced the new dates for the stadium tour, which is Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett. And unfortunately, it's not coming to New Orleans, but somehow I'll find the strength to go on living. Jesus Christ. I've seen all these bands except for Def Leppard. I never saw Def Leppard, but, boy, I was listening to some live Def Leppard, before we recorded this, and, I didn't miss nothing, cause it was Def Leppard in their prime. We're talking 10-arm Def Leppard, and, boy, it wasn't that great. But, they showed all these dates. I think it's kind of wise, though, because these guys are pretty fucking old. And I'm not just talking about you, Mick Mars. You don't see too many dates with back-to-back dates. I think there's only maybe three lineups where there's back-to-back dates. The rest have days off in between, which I think is probably smart. I still don't know if I don't know if it's going to happen. You have no idea when live shit's really going to come back, Everybody can hope and plan and do all this shit. We have no idea. Especially if you watch the news and you see how, since we've tried to start things back up, numbers are fucking jumping, so who knows? Who knows? But, I still don't see this. They made some money, they made more than what I thought, but I can't see this as a whole tour being that great. But, what might happen, if it does go, you might get more people going now just because they're so cooped up. Who knows? It might work to their benefit. Where people are like, you know what? I'm so tired of sitting at home. I'll go see these fucking trailer park fucking rock bands. I don't know. It could work to their advantage. Have you seen any of these bands on the stadium tour?
I have seen Motley Crue, Def Leppard. Never seen Poison. Never seen Joan Jett.
All right. Well, I would recommend Joan Jett. Joan Jett still puts on a hell of a show. I saw her, maybe about 5 years ago or so now. Great show, man. Great artist. Saw Poison once. Whoo! Yeah. Motley Crue I've seen 3 times. Never need to see them again. And Def Leppard, yeah, I'll pass. And again, with this many bands on the tour, you're going to get, it's going to be great for girls. This is a great girl show because you're going to get greatest hit sets. And I'm sorry, I know that sounds sexist, but as a guy who's been with...
There goes all our Hinch ladies.
Yeah. Well, Hinch ladies will be a special breed, but for the most part, like my ex, she loved a lot of these bands. But oh my God, you play a song that wasn't on the fucking radio or there wasn't a video for, she don't want to know it. Like one of her favorite bands was Journey. And if I tried to play a Journey song that wasn't killed by the radio, I want the song I can sing along to. I want the song I know all the words. And that's what this fucking, tour is catering to. You're not going to get any deep cuts on this shit. Maybe Joan Jett. She has what's called integrity. But, who knows? But probably they're going to give Joan Jett 5 fucking songs anyway. So hers are probably going to be all hits too. But yeah, I've got no desire to see people way past their prime play shit that I'm sick of hearing. So I'm going to pass. Does your wife want to go to this shit? Or are you going to end up going to... Didn't you already have tickets for this shit?
No,
not
at all.
Okay, I'm fucking proud of you. Proud of your wife too.
Yeah, no, she's Deftones, Tool, Beastie Boys. She's got some integrity too.
Nice. Don't fool yourself. You're going to see this same thing in about 20 years. You're going to be going to see them in their fucking wheelchair.
We'll definitely go to the Deftones, Tool, Korn, stadium tour. Fucking Jonathan going out there with the bagpipes in his wheelchair.
Yeah. But who knows? By that time, they might be on the moon. Space Force presents.
Nice. Did you see that Space Force, the TV show on Netflix, got the patent to the name or the copyright to the name Space Force before Trump's administration could get it?
Oh, it's so awesome! And I watched the whole show. I binge watched it in a day and a half. It was hilarious.
Was it good?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's silly comedy, not the best comedy I've ever seen, but it's definitely entertaining. It's funny. I dug it. But
right.
But since we're talking about Def Leppard, that is the subject
album review
of today's show. And you made a comment. We were talking, off microphone, and we should pick like a big album to talk about, and we're still going to do the hate episode, but I'm kind of putting that on the back burner for now. I want to wait till people are happy again, and then we're going to hitch over the head with some hate, but while everybody's pissed off enough, let's talk about when times were good and Def Leppard had 10 arms, and talk about a big album I avoided on my previous show. Because I was like, everybody talks about that shit. But fuck it, Let's do it. We're selling out this week, man. We want to get some fucking numbers coming in here. So for this week, we're going to go with Def Leppard's Pyromania. I've got all kinds of amazing first-hand memories of when this came out, where I was, what the music scene was like. But, you're a little bit younger. I mean, were you aware of this? How first of all, how old were you in 1983?
January 20th, 1983, I was 3.
So. Oh shit, yeah, okay, so, yeah. yeah, it was nice doing a show with you. Well, I guess I should say then, when this came out, you heard everything on the radio. I mean, you heard this right alongside Michael Jackson and John Cougar and Culture Club and all that shit. You didn't necessarily have to be a metalhead, to know this, because you heard it on the radio. You saw it on MTV. And it was a huge album. Made it all the way to number 2. Was held off by Thriller, like so many awesome albums. But a big impact in breaking heavy metal into the mainstream. This and Quiet Riot's Mental Health were probably the two biggest that made heavy metal acceptable and might have been, in some people's opinion, ruined metal. Because you would see people go a lot more radio friendly because it was finally getting radio airplay. But this is a lot heavier Def Leppard than what they would become, and then this is like the end of Def Leppard for me. Of course, I would buy Hysteria when it came out, and that would be the last Def Leppard album I would buy. But this one I think still holds up. It's not my favorite Def Leppard, that's High and Dry, but I wouldn't even get High and Dry till many years later. But I used to play the shit out of this. I would take it to school. I used to bring a boombox to school, and on recess I would play, I'd play this, I'd play Thriller, I'd play Hall & Oates, the theme to the Blues Brothers. God, just listen to everything. Because that's how radio was, and that's how I tried to make my radio show, harken back to where you heard everything. But this was mainstream at a time when, heavy rock and metal was not mainstream. You couldn't hear it on the radio. It's still, even after this, it took, a few years for other bands to break through. Def Leppard was kind of an anomaly, along with Quiet Riot is something you could hear. But I think it still holds up. I listened to the album twice today and loved it. A lot of these songs I've heard a gazillion times, can still listen to them. But this is after this, I checked out. But did you ever have a period where you did like Def Leppard?
When Hysteria came out, I was 8 years old. And the hysteria of hysteria, like I was aware of it. Obviously, Pour Some Sugar on Me. This is honestly some of the first rock stuff I got into. I was into Kiss. I was into Hysteria. I was into, some of that stuff at the time. Even like the White Snake at the time. My dad had a lot of the stuff, so I was taking his albums and cassettes and whatnot. But the thing with Pyromania I remember the most was around that time of Hysteria, a guy brought Pyromania on vinyl to 5th grade. And I was like, why are you bringing a record to school? But I was also like mesmerized by the cover and checking it out and stuff. But, so even in my podunk little town, Def Leppard was massive. And then, so we were listening to that. And then listening to this today, it's just like, goddamn, like every other song on that album is a goddamn gigantic single. It was crazy.
Yeah. They had 4 singles off the album. Well, depending on what country you were in, they had, in the States, they released Photograph, Rock Ages, and Fooling. And in the UK, they released Photograph, Rock of Ages, and Too Late for Love. But man, I mean, and the shit was all over MTV. All over MTV. And I ate it up, man. I remember I wanted a shirt with the Japanese flag on it because Joe Elliott had one. And my grandmother wasn't having it. Like, your grandfather fought the Japs. That's how they talk. They fought the fucking Japs, My one grandfather fought the Germans in Europe, and my other grandfather fought the Japs, But basically, when I was ordering shit out of the Sears catalog, circling what I wanted, I got like 4 pairs of parachute pants, but I didn't get my precious Joe Elliott fucking Japanese flag shirt. But, oh man, it's funny. I've got pictures of my room, when this came out when I was 9, and it had this horrible wallpaper. Is that a thing anymore? Does anybody wallpaper? I hope not. But
that's actually something we've been looking at houses, and it's funny when you're on your phone going through Zillow and you see a house, you're like, oh, this is a cool house, and you start going through it, and then all of a sudden they've wallpapered the bathroom and they've wallpapered the dining room, and you're like, what are they thinking? What's going on? And then sometimes it's cool. I think we might need to bring wallpaper back, but yeah, it's just funny. It catches you so off guard when somebody has like some crazy wallpaper patterns on their walls.
Oh, I had this horrible wallpaper in my room. It was like red, white, and blue, and there's all kinds like, Viva La America and cowboys and all this weird shit. Kids shit, like boys' room shit. Yeah. But, I think that got wallpapered when I was 4 or 5. But around the time this came out, I discovered rock magazines. And, I wasn't into like full blown like the metal shit like Hit Parader, but I used to get Circus. And Circus and even Hit Parader, if you look back in the day, they covered a wide variety of different bands. It wasn't just, it wasn't until later that they got like strictly metal. And, I've got these pictures where I'd cut out things and thumbtack them onto my walls to cover up my horrible wallpaper, but it's shit from like Circus Magazine, and it's, Def Leppard, Michael Jackson, John Cougar, right. Fucking Culture Club, I had all this shit.
Johnny Cougar.
Yeah, before he started that Mellencamp shit. Boy George, all this shit, Lionel Richie. I had all this shit. But I listened to all of that stuff. And so did other kids at that time, It wasn't like, like a few years later that I noticed people there was metalheads, and that music scared me. I remember this kid who lived like a couple blocks away, and he was like the new kid, the dangerous kid. He lived in a trailer, on the other side of the tracks. And I remember going.
Yeah, probably a Raiders fan.
Yeah, going. Nah. Well, the Titans didn't have a team yet, but think of another white trash team. That's probably what we like. But anyway, I remember going into his trailer, and he had a Iron Maiden poster, and that scared the shit out of me. Like, oh God, I bet this kid smokes cigarettes, and I think he did. But this was considered acceptable. And I think that has to do with the fact that you could hear it on the radio and you could see it on MTV, and it didn't have to be like, they didn't even have a Headbangers Ball yet, but you know what I mean? It didn't have to be on a special show. You would just see Def Leppard in regular rotation and as well to being on the radio. But, I don't know what your opinion is nowadays, but I think the album still stands up. What do you think?
I really enjoyed it today, kind of going back and listening to it. Like I said, I don't go back to this album probably ever, but obviously the singles on it, word for word. When Rock Till You Drop came on, I was like, this really sounds like Cinderella. Like his voice really reminded me of Tom Kiefer on that, and I was like, wow. You would never put Tom Kiefer in my brain and Def Leppard kind of in the same category because Tom Kiefer's a little bit more gruff, and to me, in my brain, Joe Elliott's polished and 30 tracks of singing and things like that. But as for a song, he came in pretty rocking, and then it also hit me too that rock till you drop. Then you got like I Want to Rock and Rock and Roll All Night. You have so many of those songs from that era that are like telling you to rock and telling you to rock till you drop. So I tried to take that and put it into different musical categories. So, like, if you're into an emo band, they might have a song like Cut Till the Pain Goes Away.
And it never does, kids. It never does.
Or death metal. Hail, Hail, Satan Until the Children Die. Things like that. Like, Until the Blood Boils from the Earth. You new metal guys, you got your wear, baggy ass jeans. You've got... There were so many different genres where you could take that, man.
Yeah, Bob Dylan, it is not.
I just do love that whole era of music, though. They're like, I want to rock and roll all night and rock till you drop. Everybody's got their rock song, so.
Yeah, it was definitely just have a good hook and a good beat. Who gives a fuck what you're saying? Because, yeah, that's some gibberish. That's some... Untergleben, Glauten, Globen shit.
Well, I will say when they made Hysteria, they actually did that. They actually, when they had the music done, they would make sounds, and if they liked the sounds, they would go back and write lyrics to the sounds that they made as they were writing the album. So you're not far off from what Def Leppard did on Hysteria, and they might have actually done it on this album too. Obviously, another mutt-laying recording here.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure it never starts with Joe Elliott poetry. I'm pretty sure it starts with a riff, and he's like, oh, fuck, I better say something. I don't know what.
Wait, how do you feel right now about my knowledge of Def Leppard, by the way?
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm surprised you even liked it, This came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it is infectious, and it does... it crosses genres, and I think you don't have to be a metalhead to enjoy this album, because it flirts with all kinds of different shit. But then, I'm listening to it today, and Stage Fright comes on, and I'm like, man, that's pretty fucking heavy, that opening riff of Stage Fright. I'm like, fuck yeah. And I think a big thing with that is, the most underappreciated member of Def Leppard, Pete Willis, and poor Pete Willis, he wasn't an attractive bloke, and, a little guy, he made Dudley Moore look like fucking Wilt Chamberlain, but, god damn, they wrote some good shit with him, and it sure seemed to disappear when he was gone, By this point, everybody, I should say after this point, everybody just thinks of Phil Collen, whatever the fuck. It's not Phil Collins. It's Phil Collen. With no S.
He's just one Phil Collen.
Yeah. No S and no shirt. But
lots of nipple rings.
But, he's in the videos, and then they'd even go back and do videos. After this was a success, they redid videos for High and Dry. But now you got, with Phil in it. So a lot of people don't even, unless they did research, they have no idea who Pete Willis is. But if you look at the writing credits, he's all over this album, and he plays on every track. They let him go near the ending of the record. And Phil Collins is on here playing some solos on, probably half the album. But still, you got Pete Willis writing this shit. And I think that has a lot to do with why they started sucking after it, man. Because that guy just came up with some great fucking songs that, if it was everybody else, they would have had better songs. And, I don't know. It just sucks. You had 10 arms back then, too. And that's a very... I hate to say it, but it's like... on one hand, I think it's admirable that they kept... what's the drummer's name? Rick Allen. That they kept him after that. I mean, that's... What a testament to friendship. I mean, who the fuck has a one-armed drummer? Who the fuck? I mean, if there was ever an excuse to let him go, we would, but you're a drummer and you've got one fucking arm. I think we have to say our goodbyes, but they stuck by him, so I respect it as, man, that's a friend there. But I think the music suffered. I don't know. It's a tough call. I'm proud and disappointed at the same time. Maybe if they would have had a two-arm drummer, just think of the possibilities. But
well, I think with keeping Rick Allen in the band, it does show a lot of almost integrity to keep the guy in the band after losing an arm. When you're basically on the verge of becoming superstars, I mean, you're already massive. I don't know. It's hard to be in a massive band and the train is going, and all of a sudden your drummer loses an arm, and you stick with him and let him, recover and learn how to, play drums with just his feet. And it's just, I think it would be. I don't know if it would happen today. I think today they would call Mike Portnoy and he would be there to, finish out the tour and just continue on the band. I don't know if the same thing would happen today with the touring machine that it is.
Well, I heard a rumor though that they did have a period where they auditioned another drummer, but after Peter Criss auditioned. After Peter Criss auditioned, they're like, you know what? Bring Ricky Five Fingers back. I think he sounded better. But I could be wrong there. I could be wrong.
Well, I do believe the first show back they played with one-armed drummer. They actually had a physically intact person off the side of the stage that was going to play along, and for some reason that guy missed the show, didn't show up or whatnot. So they technically had a drummer off stage just in case Rick Allen couldn't do it, and they actually, the guy never showed up.
I wonder if that really happened, or that just happened in that horrible VH1 movie they made about Def Leppard, and it just made it seem more dramatic, wow. And he didn't show up, and little Ricky pulled through, And, I joke, but I do. I give this guy utmost respect, man. That takes fucking balls and courage, and the guy had to relearn how to fucking play drums again and everything. I mean, most people would give up, and he didn't. So, I make jokes, but I really do have a lot of respect for the guy. I think the music suffered, but I got respect for the fact that he wouldn't quit and that they stuck by him. And I also respect the fact that this guy got arrested in a Miami airport for beating his wife. And
with his one arm.
Yeah, with his one arm, and I know I've told this joke a million times, but it's a good joke. It's like, what did he do, like the rope-a-dope? Like he was moving the stub, and while she was looking at that, he came across with a left, and, gave her one right in the chops, and God, how bad would that be, I got beat up by a one-armed man, I don't know. But, It's Def Leppard. It's Pyromania. It's amazing. I don't think there's a bad song on the album. I think overall, though, if you go track by track, I think High and Dry's a more solid album. And you can see, they're getting lighter here, but the fact is, even though it's a little bit lighter, it's still great fucking songs, and the production by Mutt Lange. I mean, this guy, he's like Bob Rock, but with talent. He gets right. He gets the results of that Bob Rock got in the late 80s, early 90s. But this guy, I mean, what Mutt Lange did with AC/DC, what he did with Def Leppard, the Cars. I mean, he produced
Shania Twain.
Yeah, and he found a way to fuck her. You ever seen Mutt Lange? Not an attractive guy.
Yeah, the Mutt is a very apt nickname.
Yeah. And he's such a stud, he cheated on Shania Twain. How fucking cocksure you gotta be to say, yeah, I can do better. Holy shit. Holy shit. Yeah. He's got about as much balls as fucking Rick Allen. I don't know, maybe I should join this band, man. That boosts your fucking ego. God damn. But, I think Pete Willis, unsung hero on this album, and probably, I think between Pete Willis and Rick Allen's arms, those are even bigger losses than Steve Clark, rest his soul, Seemed like a nice guy, but, man, after this, they really lost the mark for me. I remember hearing Women. I watched the world premiere on MTV, and I really liked that song. And it's funny, that was like the worst, it did the worst out of, the 57 singles that were released off of Hysteria. But I love that, and then I bought the album, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? And I would just go back and listen to the other Def Leppard, and then I'll never forget when I saw the world premiere for Do You Want to Get Rocked? And I'm like, oh my God, you think Hysteria is bad? Holy shit, was that bad? And that horrible fucking cartoon video they had for it. Let's get
right.
Yeah, that's like, how can we do a dumb version of Rock Till You Drop? Okay, I'd be like, do you want to get rocked? Oh my God, let's get the rock out of here. That is so fucking stupid. I can't believe it's not in a Motley Crue song. How does Motley Crue not have a Let's Get the Rock Out of Here album? Because that is some first band on the moon shit right there. Holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. Woo. Yeah, man, so my final thoughts on this, man. A great album to go back to. I was very young when this album came out, even, and young when the Hysteria album came out, and like my cousins loved it. I couldn't get away from that, and like Appetite for Destruction and just everything that came around that period. And I do remember the night, I believe it was 88 going into 89, I stayed up on New Year's Eve listening to like the countdown of the year, or like it was like some sort of battle of the year songs or whatever, and Pour Some Sugar on Me was the song of 1988. So I do remember that, and it was good times.
Number 2 was Taylor Dane. True story. Tell it to my heart.
Nice.
But I would recommend this to anybody, even some of our listeners who like heavy shit and stuff, and are probably really turned off by the Hysteria shit and what they've become. Check out the first 3 Def Leppard albums, because it's really good shit. It's just, it's not metal. Even High and Dry to me, it's hard rock. It's hard rock, but it's good hard rock. And this one sold 10 million albums just in the U.S. alone. And to show you what a fucked up country this is, Hysteria still sold more. Another weird little known fact, you know who played keyboards on this album? And I never knew this till today.
Keyboards on... Oh, go ahead.
Thomas Dolby.
Oh, nice.
But he's credited as Booker T. Boffin. But he was blinding motherfuckers with science on this, Science! That's Thomas Dolby, goddammit, playing some keyboards on this. Funny, but Thomas Dolby even though he's known here in the colonies as a one-hit wonder, he actually played keyboards for a ton of diverse artists in the early 80s. None who I can think of right now, but you'd be surprised. Do some homework if you're that interested in Thomas Dolby, and I think you'd be surprised on who he's played keyboards for. So, yeah, that's my background for this 10 million selling album just in the States, Pyromania. Big episode. I hope we get Kiss numbers for this. It's the closest I could come without having to talk about Kiss.
That'll be next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, when I see the numbers for this, what about that Kiss band, with the makeup? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Something old, something new.
All right, man, so what you got for your something old, something new?
Something old, something new. Well, what's funny is both of my picks this week could work under either category. But with my something old, I'm going to talk about 1975's Jaws. All right, and I'm sure by now all of you have seen Jaws, but the reason I'm picking it is there is a brand new 4K release of that, and I'm such a fan of this movie. Probably my favorite movie of all time. I mean, you could interchange it with some Godfather shit and everything, but Jaws is just a masterpiece. And sometimes, you get these remasters, when it comes to music or movies. Oh, it's in this and that. This is the best I've ever seen Jaws. And I had the regular Blu-ray. And I was like, well, is the 4K shit going to be that much of a change? But I've got a new 4K TV. I'm like, let me give it a try. I've heard great reviews. And it did. It looks amazing. They have this new special edition out. Comes with a... What are you, moving fucking furniture around in there?
Yes, kind of. I just scratched my foot, man.
Okay. But they got this new special edition. Comes with a booklet. It's a collector's edition. It's got all the awesome bonus features that were on the Blu-ray. The Shark is Working documentary. I mean, there's like hours and hours of awesome bonus features on this. And it looks and sounds amazing. It really is Jaws like you've never seen. So if you've got 4K capability, I highly, highly recommend you get the new 4K release of 1975's Jaws.
Nice. I keep thinking of the Mallrats thing. It's like, I was going to propose to her. Where? Yeah. On the Jaws ride. When? When the shark popped out of the water. And my girlfriend right out of high school, we actually went to Universal Studios and we went on that ride. Both loved Mallrats, and we went on the ride, and as soon as Jaws popped out of the water, I looked over at her and she's like, don't even think about it. But good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Little did she know you were already cheating on her. You're already thinking about Jaws too.
Electric Boogaloo.
That's right.
My something old this week. I was kind of thinking of mixing it up. You went a movie. We've talked about other things. My something old this week. I'm going to go with Butterfinger BBs.
Huh? What the? You're such a brat, Bart. What? Yeah, you won't share your Butterfinger BBs.
Oh, we're taking them. Bite size. Perhaps, sir.
No, Maggie, no.
Groovy munchies, man.
Ah!
Bag a bunch of crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery Butterfinger BBs.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger BBs. Ah!
Did you ever have Butterfinger BBs back in the 90s?
No, because first I hate Butterfingers. But how old is this segment getting now? If you're picking food, that's what. My something old is some stale bread that's in the cupboard.
Oh man, yeah, the Butterfinger BBs were absolutely delicious. And then actually just recently, the Butterfinger company, I guess, sold to someone else. and they tried to update the formula of a Butterfinger, and it is absolutely nasty. So they need to go back to the old Butterfinger recipe, and Taco Bell needs to go back to whatever meat they used to use, because the new meat is even worse. I don't care what grade of meat there was before; it was delicious. So yeah, we need to go back and get some Butterfinger BBs, man.
Taco Bell, fuck with their meat. What are they using now? Meat?
Yes, like some sort of actual cows or something. Whatever they're using before, there's no telling.
That's terrible. All right, well, my something new this week is rare because it's actually an album that was supposed to be released in 1975 or 74. I don't know. I'm towards the end of my one big drink. Either 74 or 75.
Nice.
But it was shelved for years and is now finally being released in its original track listing. And that is Neil Young's Homegrown.
And you with the song Vacancy?
Vacancy, yeah. I absolutely love this. I've got a leaked copy. My vinyl hasn't come in the mail yet because it's getting released the day after we were recording this. But I absolutely love it. Neil Young is one of my favorite artists of all time. Been listening to him for years. And aside from one weird spoken word experimental track, which never should have made the fucking album, it's killer. It's killer. Some of these songs were released in different versions on future albums, but a lot of these songs have never been heard, like the one you heard a snippet of, Vacancy. Really good if you like that, early era of early 70s era of Neil Young. Isn't recorded with Crazy Horse or anything. I think there's some guest appearances by Lee Von Helm and Robbie Robertson of the band play on some tracks. Some people who played on Harvest. And it's kind of like a middle ground between Harvest and, On the Beach and Tonight's the Night. But really good shit. And it was written and recorded about a breakup he had just had with the woman. I don't think he married her, but he had a kid. But, he wrote this record that's all reflective of the relationship. Not all the songs. I mean, the title track, Homegrown's about growing weed. But a lot of the other ones are about the relationship. And by the time he was ready to release it, he's like, you know what, it's too personal. I'm over her. I want to do something else, And he was so prolific at that period. Prolific? I don't know. You know what I fucking mean. But, he was just coming up with shit left and right. So he just shelved it. And within, 2 months, had written a whole nother album and put that out. But it's awesome. He's got, I think, 4 other albums coming out this year that are albums that he shelved and never released. And hopefully, they're as good as this. Because there's, some of these tracks, wow, how could you never release this fucking song? If you're a Neil Young fan, definitely check it out. Homegrown, that is my something new, even though it's old. It's new to you. It's new to you, motherfucker.
There we go. Yeah, I enjoy some Neil Young, man. I'll throw that on.
Wow, that surprised me.
Right? I'm an enigma wrapped in a riddle or whatever.
You are, man. I can never figure your ass out, man. I thought you were going to have a whole list of, cracking on Def Leppard and how fucking fruity I am for liking any Def Leppard. And you like them and some Neil Young and some Butterfingers, man. You're something else.
I was gonna go with my something new as the my favorite candy, which being a Nutrageous, but I'll go music. I'll go the the latest single came out back in February from Hatebreed called When the Blade Drops.
What you want, like a wolf countdown, link by link, and the life is passing. Self-imposed with an iron tread, no consolation overhead. Sharpened steel gleams, choice is made, the addict's cuts clean. Drop the blade, the skin is down to its final grain. With every cloud comes a guillotine. This one thing you cannot do. When the blade drops, your wound is split in two.
So yeah, the latest Hatebreed single, When the Blade Drops, it's a few months old now. I know the album has been pushed back. It should be out by now, but with all this COVID-19, they wanted to hold on to it. But do you like the old Hatebreed? Are you a fan of Hatebreed?
I'm not aware of a lot of Hatebreed. I have their albums, thanks to Mr. X, but I've never checked them out. It's a band I've always kind of meant to. I did like the albums that he did with Kirk Winstein, the Kingdom of Sorrow albums. That's the
those are great too.
That's the most I know of them, and I particularly like the second one the most, but that's got a lot more Kirk on it, and I think that's why I like. Not that I don't like Jamie Josta, but I really like the Kirk shit a little bit more. But I don't have I hate him. It's just one of those bands I never really checked out. I think Josta seems like a cool dude. He just seems passionate about whatever he does, and I do like that. But what would you recommend, for somebody who, if you're trying to get somebody into Hatebreed? What's an album I should check out?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's look at they're kind of one of those bands that if you like one song, you like all the songs, because they do tend to kind of run into one another. Let's see. I'm looking at... anything that you go back, the very first album that came out in 97 is a little bit more, his voice is a little bit more death metal-y almost, but then he kind of gets a grasp on himself on Perseverance. Rise of Brutality, Supremacy is good. I'm trying to think what else. They're one of those bands that, you can kind of throw on any era of the band and you'll enjoy it. They did a nice covers album called For the Lions that had Ghosts of War, and they did a cover of Escape by Metallica, and just Refuse, Resist by Sepultura and things like that. So it's
wow.
Throw them on, hit it on shuffle. And be good.
Just pick an album, asshole. Pick an album.
Go with Perseverance. How about that?
Perseverance. I will check out Perseverance, and I will give you a report.
All right. Next week we will give the Hatebreed report. Straight from Ian Wadley.
Yes, that'll be in the news segment. I will give you my my quick summary of Perseverance.
Nice. Well, all right, man. Hour 35 minutes. I'll take it.
Yeah. I'll take it too. And I can't go enjoy my new couch because it's time to go to bed. God damn it! But come back next week. When, besides, hearing the news and all the Henchmen and my review of Perseverance, Josh is going to have an interview with the fourth bass player from Alien Ant Farm. So that should be very informative. And we'll hear about, the lean years, Not those big years when they were covering Michael Jackson, but, when it all went to shit.
I can reach out to the first bass player of Alien Ant Farm and probably get him on the show next week if you just want to do that.
Everybody has him on. Everybody has him on, man. We're going to dig deep.
Nice. All right, man. Well, that has been another episode of Diablos in Podcastica, so make sure you're heading over to the Facebook page. Sharing from the Facebook page, become our henchmen. Let everyone know that you are listening to the Talk to Me podcast. Make sure you let everyone know that you are listening to Diablos in Podcastica.
Yeah, I caught that,
and
motherfucker.
That would be much appreciated. And leave a nice 5-star rating, nice 5-star review over there on Apple Podcasts.
Hell yeah. You just been hit by a smooth criminal. Ding, 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 ding. Oh!
So for the Diablos in Podcastica, I've been Joshua Toomey.
I'm Wadzilla.
And we will talk to you soon.
Diablos in Podcastica with Toomey and Wadzilla.